Princess Ojugo had done everything possible to win the heart of a man, but no man was willing to settle with a princess whose voice was deeper than that of a man. Once upon a time, there lived a very beautiful princess named Ojugo, who was the only child of the great ruler of the kingdom of Uli. Princess Ojugo was extremely beautiful, but something about her stood out as the princess had the voice of a man. She spoke with a very deep voice that shocked whoever heard her speak. The princess hated the look on the faces of people whenever she spoke, and this resulted in her speaking less, as she did everything to avoid the strange looks that she always got. One day, a very handsome prince from the neighboring village visited the palace to dine with the princess. He saw the princess at a recent festival and her beauty drew him to her. As they sat next to each other, Ojugo felt her heart race. She feared how the prince would react when he finally heard her speak. So, Princess Ojugo did everything possible to remain mute. She smiled as the prince spoke, using hand gestures and head movements to communicate her responses to the prince, who found it confusing that the princess had not uttered a word to him. Filled with curiosity, the prince asked the princess why she had refused to speak, and Princess Ojugo stared right at him as she summoned the courage to finally speak. Immediately the princess spoke up to apologize to the prince. Her deep voice echoed through the room, causing the prince to nearly spill his drink. Despite her charm and beauty, the prince could not shake his discomfort as he left her father's palace in a hurry. This was the fifth man who was leaving the princess because of her deep voice, and this hurt her deeply as she retired to her room and began to weep. Princess Ojugo had done everything possible to win the heart of a man, but no man was willing to settle with a princess whose voice was deeper than that of a man. Her father, the king, on hearing what had happened between the princess and the prince, sat on his throne worried as he thought of what to do. All the best herbalists around have come to assess the princess's voice and prescribed several herbal medicines, but none of their recommendations worked as the princess's voice deepened as each day passed. Night fell, and the king still sat on his throne thinking when his guards approached him to reveal that their village had just suffered a small attack. The guards had a shocking look on their faces as they told the king that a strange man, who no one knew, single-handedly captured the perpetrators, saving the entire village from the hands of the attackers. The king stared at them in amazement as he wondered who this strange warrior was. By morning, the villagers all whispered about the strange man, and everyone wondered who he could be and where he could have gone. Even Princess Ojugo was shocked to hear how a strange man fought off over 10 men by himself and wondered where he drew such strength from. However, her mind quickly remembered her encounter with the prince the previous day as her face dimmed into sadness. She looked in the mirror and wondered how a beautiful girl like her would have the voice of a man. Ojugo sat in her room thinking when her favorite maiden Ola walked into her room and tried to cheer her up. Ola had a way of making the princess smile whenever she was overwhelmed with sadness, and this was why the princess was so fond of her. Days passed, and the villagers could not stop talking about the strange warrior that saved their village. Everyone wanted to know who he was, and soon, rumors began to circulate that a young man in the village named Ajay had come forward to say that he was the one who saved the villagers from their enemies. All the young women in the village piqued an interest in him as they admired his extraordinary strength. Even the king requested to see Ajay as he offered him the position of his personal guard in the palace, and Ajay was so excited to be working for the king. He was in charge of the king's guards and given his own chamber in the palace. Ajay could not believe how quickly his life transformed as the people began to respect and admire him. He would flaunt his muscles around the village, bragging about his extraordinary strength and how he single-handedly fought off 10 hefty men. In the palace, however, Princess Ojiugo was asleep on one hot afternoon when she had a dream. She met a very handsome man who introduced himself to her as the man that saved their village from the attack. Princess Ojiugo listened to the man as he narrated how he was trapped and unable to escape. Princess Ojiugo tried to understand what he was talking about when she woke up from her sleep and pondered on what her dream meant. Princess Ojiugo found herself thinking about the strange man as all her thoughts were now filled with images of him. She could not take her mind off him and decided to find the strange man to free him from his bondage. One night, whilst the entire village slept, the village was attacked again by their enemies. Ajay, who was fast asleep in his quarters, was awoken by loud screams and commotion. The palace guards rushed in to inform him that the strange man had saved the village once again, and Ajay, shocked and embarrassed, realized that his deceit had now been exposed. Terrified at what might happen to him, Ajay decided to uncover the real identity of the strange warrior, hoping to eliminate him and hide his secret. So on one night, Ajay set some of the villagers' huts on fire, not caring the consequences of his actions. He knew that doing so would draw out the strange man from his hiding place. Just as he predicted, the strange man emerged from the shadows to save the inhabitants of the burning hut, and Ajay watched from a distance as the handsome man rescued the people from the burning hut and escaped from their presence. Ajay trailed the strange man and was shocked at what he discovered. "It cannot be," he said to himself as he paused in confusion. By morning, word of the strange man's good deeds spread around the village once again, reaching the king, who had now grown desperate to meet the strange warrior. The king, on realizing that Ajay was a fraud, relieved him of his position as his personal guard. He then decreed that anyone who knows the identity of the strange man and where he lived should come forward, as they would be hugely rewarded by him. Everyone was now on the lookout to uncover the identity of the man, whose identity had remained a mystery to the entire village. Ajay, knowing who the strange man was, approached the king to reveal that the strange man lived in the palace with the king. He recounted the events of the previous night and how the strange man transformed into the princess before his eyes. He watched in awe as the young man's muscular form transformed into the slender body of the beautiful princess who climbed into the palace through the forest. Princess Ojiugo transformed into the warrior at night, but was unaware of her transformations. While she believed she was in bed asleep, her body transformed into that of a warrior who safeguarded the people at night, ensuring that no harm befell the inhabitants of the village. When Ajay made this revelation known to the king rebuked him and ordered his guards to take him away. The king could not believe that his beloved daughter transformed into a man at night, as the thought of this terrified him greatly. Determined to find out the truth, the king stayed awake that night. As the moon rose, he watched in astonishment as Princess Ojiugo transformed into the powerful warrior. Tears filled his eyes as he realized the burden his daughter had been carrying. The king then spoke to the warrior, asking why he had taken over his daughter's body, and the warrior told him that on the day that his daughter was born, he died and was transferred to the princess' body because she was the only baby born at the time that he died. He told the king that he had no other option but to take over the princess's body to enable him live and protect the village from every harm. The king then asked what could be done to separate them, allowing his daughter to live a normal life, and the warrior told the king that he would only be allowed to leave the princess' body when his mission on earth was over. The warrior was sent to stop a great calamity from befalling the entire village, and for years he had acted as their protector, saving the villagers from numerous harms. Princess Ojugo, all this while, had no idea that she was the warrior. Her father, the king, called her the next morning to break the news to her, and the princess could not believe her ears. She then remembered her dream of the man who told her that he was trapped, and everything began to make more sense to her as she realized that she had been living both as a man and a woman for so many years. Her deep voice was a result of the warrior spirit residing within her, and the princess, although frightened at the revelation, was comforted by the fact that her body was being used to protect her own people. Meanwhile, Ajay, driven by greed and the desire to reclaim his false glory, devised a plan to eliminate the warrior. He met a powerful sorcerer who told him that eliminating the warrior would transfer the warrior spirit into him, making him a very powerful man. Ajay's plan was to use his power to overturn the king and claim his throne. What Ajay did not know was that his evil plan would lead to his own downfall. So, Ajay asked the sorcerer for the best way to kill the warrior, and the sorcerer gave him a weirdly shaped object which he was to use to stab the warrior. The evil sorcerer told Ajay that once he stabs the warrior with the object, the warrior's powers will transfer to him, making him extremely powerful, and Ajay was so excited to hear this. He then decided to create havoc in the village again to draw out the warrior who he knew would come. This time, he dug a very big hole in the ground and covered it with leaves. As a young maiden was returning home from the stream, she fell into the big hole and broke her leg. The young maiden screamed out in extreme pain as she pleaded for someone to save her. Her cries attracted the attention of the warrior, who rushed to the scene to save her life. As he approached the hole, Ajay, who was hiding nearby, rushed behind him to strike, when suddenly his stomach began to grow so big, leading him to scream out in pain. What Ajay did not know was that the strange object the sorcerer gave to him was cursed. However, the curse could only be activated if it was brought in close contact with a virgin. Ajay, oblivious of this, brought the object close to the virgin maiden who was trapped in the hole, causing his stomach to swell profusely. His greed backfired as Ajay began to suffer the consequences of his actions. The entire village heard his screams and gathered as they took him straight to the king, who banished him out of the village and warned him never to return. The innocent virgin was saved, and the calamity, which was to befall the entire village, was averted, restoring peace to the village. The warrior's mission was now complete, and his spirit finally left the princess, who felt a profound sense of ease. Princess Ojugo's deep voice transformed into a very sweet and soothing voice, shocking the entire palace, including her father, the king. News of the princess's transformation spread around the village, and all the men who once rejected the princess because of her voice regretted their decision. Some even came to ask for her hand in marriage, but the princess rejected them all without thinking twice. That was how the rejected princess became the most sought after in the entire village, as her voice not only transformed but became the most soothing voice the villagers had ever heard. The lesson to be learned from this story is that evil always has an expiry date. Do not dig a pit for others, as you may just fall into the pit to your own destruction. Learn to respect and regard people regardless of their unique attributes, as everyone has something valuable to offer. The rejected stone, they say, can one day become the cornerstone So be kind to others and spread love wherever you go. I hope you enjoyed the story.
Like, subscribe and leave a comment. It helps us grow our channel. I'll see you in our next story. Bye.